too often are overlooked in all of these discussions that we had on reforming the criminal justice system. The one word created here is the word victim. And that, I think, is tragic. Because as many of y'all have been in and around the criminal justice system, in some cases looking at all y'all's files for decades, you know that when you talk to an individual that has been a victim of a horrific crime, in many ways their life is defined as just around what their life was like before and what happened after they now have an empty chair on Thanksgiving, Christmas, and holiday, after that moment of innocence that had been taken from them. And the one thing that they are most terrified of all times is just to become another statistic. The reality is they are amazingly beautiful creatures made in the image of their Creator, and the victim of something truly horrific and tragic. Behind you, you have three words that I see every day when I walk in this office: equality, opportunity, and justice. Giving a voice for victims is not just justice, it is a way for them to heal, a way for them to take away a moment in life in which they felt powerless, and again give them that power. And so it's such an honor for me to see so many friends and colleagues, my former boss, Sally, as a hater today, I promise. But it is so great because I started at the early in my career as a counsel in the Virginia Beach Commonwealth's Attorney's Office, and it gave me such a great appreciation for the incredible work that our individuals do here. Because in Virginia, we put victims first, and this week is about them, survivors, families, and their voices that refuse to be silenced. It's ensuring that crime victims have the right, the resources, and the respect they deserve. But all of that, all of our work would not be possible without the people in this room today, our unsung heroes. We have such a misnomer in our society of who our real heroes are. Society says that if you can read on a teleprompter, or memorize a movie script, or if you have a name on the back of your jersey, well, then you must be a hero. You're supposed to pay attention to every word and words you say. But the backbone of the Commonwealth, I would argue, the backbone of this nation are these unsung heroes, the quiet heroes among us. They never seek recognition. They never seek their name in lights. They get up every day doing unbelievable work, bettering their fellow man in our society. And so for once, I think it's important, as a society, as a Commonwealth, to pause and recognize these unsung heroes. The defining characteristic of the heroes among us today is simply their unconditional willingness to do what is right. While the circles that brought all of you, our unsung heroes, together sometimes can be tragic, I oftentimes stand here inspired by the resilience and determination of what we do every day, making a difference. Our unsung heroes wake up every morning never knowing what the day can bring. They go to work because they know there are victims who need their help. So, to our unsung heroes, thank you. You are the reason the victims are not left behind. You are the reason hope exists, despite some of our most darkest circumstances. I also want to give a special thank you to the spouses and family members of the unsung heroes. Your name may not be on these awards, but you're indispensable to their success. Because for those that work in this space dealing with victims every day, they are oftentimes seeing the face of God. But by your love, compassion, and support, you get our unsung heroes and heroes in heaven. Thank you for being that harbor in the storm, that person that both rejuvenates and also gives them a shoulder to talk to, and tragic at times to cry on. We cannot do this job without you. And I want to say also thank you to our spouses. And finally, to every victim of crime, I want to give a very clear message. We see you, we hear you, and indeed, the Commonwealth of Virginia stands with you. So thank you for being here. Thank you for helping us build a Commonwealth where every victim is valued, every voice is heard, and indeed, no one walks alone. And so I would like to now introduce to the stage the director say that we are the people's protector here at the Attorney General's office. She is one of those protectors. Anybody that's met Adrian knows that is a great description of her. In 2024 alone, our victim service unit provided victim support for over 1,000 victims across Virginia. Adrian, your team and your team's unwavering passion and dedication to help victims across the Commonwealth is so inspiring to all of us in the Attorney General's office, and your work makes our office and indeed Virginia stronger. So thank you. And so, without further ado, please welcome Ms. Adrian Perry.
Thank you, Attorney General Miyares, for that kind welcome. And welcome, everyone. This is by far my favorite event that we hold here at the Office of the Attorney General. It's just such a heartwarming, good feeling moment to be here with all of you and be able to award you and celebrate everything you've done for this Commonwealth. It is in 2017, this award was commissioned by the Office of the Attorney General to pay tribute and recognize the exemplary, selfless dedication of those who provide safety, services, support, and hope to individuals who have been impacted by crime. Before we begin this ceremony, I would like to acknowledge victims of crime who may be with us today. The Attorney General and our entire staff want you to know that you are not alone, and that this administration is hard at work to ensure the voice of a victim is never lost, and that your dignity and self-worth are valued throughout the entire criminal justice process. Your voice is powerful and should never be silenced. You are survivors and thrivers who have overcome what is probably the most tragic and unimaginable event in your life. We thank you for your courage and want you to know we stand with you in your fight for justice and your healing journey. We are so grateful to the men and women who have chosen to dedicate their lives to helping victims of crime. Without all of our unsung heroes here, and so many other professionals who do what you do, healing would not be possible. You listen, you support, you connect victims with life-saving services, and most of all, you believe them. The gift of being believed post-crime victimization is one of the greatest gifts a survivor can receive. The empathy you display to the victims you serve goes a long way and contributes to their emotional, physical, and spiritual healing. You leave indelible imprints on the hearts and minds of those you support that are likely to last a lifetime. Not many people can say they go to work every day and leave that level of an impact on the community they serve. There's a quote I shared at our ceremony last year, and I wanted to share with all of you because it highlights the value in the work you do. The quote says, "The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing." I want to thank the men and women here with us today who have made it your mission to do something so that darkness can be brought to light and victims can be supported. For some of you, your professional duties and responsibilities require you to place the safety and well-being of your fellow citizens above yourself. Your courage and commitment do not go unnoticed by this administration, and we commend your selfless dedication to the community you serve. There are unsung heroes who are no longer with us today because they did just that. They put their lives on the line to honor the oath they took to serve and protect. May we never forget those who have paid the ultimate sacrifice, and may we forever remember the honor and the legacy they left behind. While this line of work can be very rewarding, it can also weigh heavy on the heart. You can't simply unsee the cases you handle. The stories and images remain with you, sometimes forever, leaving you exhausted emotionally, physically, and spiritually. Yet you continue to persevere in the pursuit of justice and advocating for the victims you serve, while placing the safety of your community at the forefront. You selflessly serve day in and day out, and I am certain it is often without thanks. However, Attorney General Miyares and all of us here at the Office of the Attorney General stand before you in absolute gratitude. I sincerely hope today you take a moment to realize just how invaluable you are and how special the work that you do is to so many. You are worthy and deserving of this award. Now, without further ado, it is an absolute honor to present these prestigious awards to the 19 awardees who were chosen for their outstanding service to victims of crime in our community. Our first Unsung Heroes Award goes to Detective Gennie with James City County Police Department, nominated by Lieutenant Campbell. Detective Bellis joins James City Police Department in 2000 and has served for nearly 25 years. Detective Bellis has demonstrated countless years of steadfast, dedicated, and exemplary service to the department and the citizens of James City County. Not only has she thoroughly and aggressively investigated her assigned cases, but she has also provided education to her peers, department staff, and prosecutors through her work at the Commonwealth Attorney Services Counsel Spring Institute. She collaborates effectively with partnering agencies to ensure no stone is left unturned as she investigates each and every case. Throughout her time as a member of the department's Criminal Investigations Unit, she has dedicated herself to the service and advocacy of the victims she serves. As a matter of fact, Detective Bellis is directly responsible for the creation of the Criminal Investigations Unit Special Victims Section. She has been recognized for her continued excellence, having received the Department's Officer of the Year Award in 2008, the Investigative Service Award in 2017, and again in 2020, and then the Meritorious Service Award in 2024, and the James City Advocate of the Year Award in 2011, which was presented by the Williamsburg County Commonwealth's Attorney's Office and now retired Circuit Court Judge Samuel T. Powell. Detective Bellis is also an active participant during Child Abuse Awareness Month and facilitates the department's annual Pinwheel Garden. Congratulations, Detective Gennie Bellis. Our next recipient is Mary Booker, Director of Lynchburg Victim Witness Program, nominated by Donna Nash, Lynchburg Office of the Commonwealth's Attorney. Ms. Booker has been faithfully and compassionately serving in victim services for going on 26 years. Each day she shows up to work with a determination to make a positive impact on the lives of the crime victims she serves, while also educating the community on the challenges and needs they face. Ms. Booker is recognized among her peers as a role model, mentor, and leader in the field of victim advocacy. She has achieved a level of excellency in her role by maintaining a high standard of professionalism, integrity, competency, and perseverance in ensuring victims' rights and their dignity. Although she primarily serves the Lynchburg community, she never hesitates to assist other localities, and they also come to her for guidance. She goes about her work without ever seeking recognition, which sets her apart. What sets her apart is her calm demeanor, her ability to communicate effectively and compassionately, and her willingness to step in and help others even when her plate is overflowing. All these characteristics have earned her and the Lynchburg Victim Witness Program the respect and trust of thousands of victims and witnesses, community partners, and citizens within the city of Lynchburg and throughout the Commonwealth of Virginia. Congratulations, Mary Booker. Next, we have Elizabeth Bruzzo, Deputy Commonwealth's Attorney, Washington County, nominated by Sheriff Blake Candace, Washington County Sheriff's Office. Ms. Bruzzo has served as a Commonwealth's Attorney since 2016, where a significant portion of her caseload involves domestic violence and crimes against children. She is a relentless advocate for crime victims and is known for being one of the most stout-hearted prosecutors in Virginia, always demanding justice for those she serves. Ms. Bruzzo's recent prosecution of violent sexual offender Houston Norris in 2024 resulted in his conviction on charges of unlawful lending, abduction, and rape. He was sentenced to 30 years of active incarceration with an additional 35 hanging over his head, along with a lifetime protective order with a no-contact provision with the victim, and is now a registered sex offender. I love that you're using lifetime protective orders. That is awesome. Ms. Bruzzo's prosecution of child predators has led to several significant sentences in Washington County. In 2023, she prosecuted and convicted Larry Sloan on multiple counts, including child rape and incest, resulting in 5 life sentences, plus 18 years. In 2022, she secured a conviction against Jesse Irvin for the sodomy of a child under 13, resulting in another life sentence. In 2021, she prosecuted and convicted Justin Sampson for the sodomy of a child under 13, along with other charges, securing a life sentence plus 5 years. Ms. Bruzzo is a zealous prosecutor whose contributions to victim advocacy extend throughout the legal community in ways that enhance the successful prosecution of violent offenders while supporting her mission to protect victims' rights. Congratulations, Deputy Commonwealth's Attorney Elizabeth Bruzzo. Our next unsung hero is Lieutenant Colonel Seth Dilworth, United States Air Force, Andrews Air Force Base. Nominated by Colonel Laura Phillips, Supervisor and Chief of the United States Air Force Victims Counsel Division. Lieutenant Colonel Dilworth is on a well-deserved vacation with his family right now, so Colonel Phillips will be accepting this award on his behalf. Lieutenant Colonel Dilworth's protection of victims' rights began long before his current position. In 2012, he was the first Air Force appointed victims counsel to appear in a military court-martial proceeding. Challenging Lieutenant Colonel Dilworth's appearance and legal standing in court, a military judge ruled against his participation, preventing him from protecting his client's prior sexual history, privilege, or military records. Without any organization of appellate teams, Lieutenant Colonel Dilworth challenged that military judge's ruling at the Air Force and Defense Appellate Courts, winning the landmark case LRM versus Castenberg. It's kind of a big deal. For those of you who are unaware, this case is one of the most frequently cited cases across all military branches that gives standing to victims counsel to argue on behalf of their clients. Lieutenant Colonel Dilworth's tenacity to challenge that judge's decision has directly given voice to victims in courts-martial for over a decade now, and has positively influenced the trajectory for victims of crime going through the military justice process. Lieutenant Colonel Dilworth has taken his wealth of knowledge in the victims' rights space and provides training to new judge advocates on victims' rights, and has authored publications on advancing military law. He has testified before the Defense Advisory Committee on Investigation, Prosecution, and Defense of Sexual Assault in the Armed Forces, also known as DAC-IPAC, on the experiences of attorneys and paralegals, appellate processes, legal challenges, and victims' perspectives. Shortly after his testimony, the committee made several policy proposals consistent with the concerns he raised. If adopted, those proposals would positively enhance victims' rights across all military branches. Congratulations, Lieutenant Colonel Seth, accepted by Colonel Giles. Now we have Captain Kristen Dorfman, United States Army Operations and Policy Attorney, stationed at the Pentagon, nominated by Benjamin Asari, Special Victims Counsel Deputy Program Manager. Captain Dorfman has provided quality and exceptional legal services to crime victims as a Special Victims Counsel for over 5 years. She also served as a military prosecutor, representing the government's best interest in maintaining good order and discipline across the United States Army. She currently serves as both Special Victims Counsel, also called SVC, Judge Advocate, and an Operations Policy Attorney. As an SVC, she provides outstanding legal services to eligible victims of sexually related crimes and domestic violence. She is a zealous advocate for protecting the rights of the victims she serves. As the Operations and Policy Attorney, she is at the tip of the spear when it comes to shaping operational guidance affecting victim care. As an educator, her portfolio consists of training over 70 SPCs annually in technical and practical legal skills. As a communicator, she frequently briefs senior leaders to include general officers and senior executive personnel on matters such as the need for increased SPC support for victims. Captain Dorfman effectively manages attorney questions from the field by providing them step-by-step guidance on how to solve nuanced legal and ethical issues. She is a highly trusted agent of the United States Army and is always willing to share her multiple years of experience supporting victims of crime. Congratulations, Captain Kristen Dorfman. Next, I will be reading 2 awards for 2 individuals who worked tirelessly and brilliantly on a case known as the Commonwealth versus Kevin Moore, a cold case involving a 2004 murder that went unsolved for many years. Our next 2 awardees are Richard Farley, Assistant Commonwealth Attorney for Albemarle County, and Detective Phil Giles, Albemarle Police Department, retired. Nominated by Robert Tracy, Section Chief, Major Crimes, Virginia Office of the Attorney General. Mr. Farley has been a prosecutor for 18 years, where he has spent the majority of his career focusing on the prosecution of violent crimes, gangs, and narcotics distribution. He additionally focuses on crimes involving domestic violence and working with the Regional Drug Task Force. Detective Giles has been in law enforcement since 1988. He began his career as a police officer at the young age of 21. In 1998, he became one of 8 detectives at the Albemarle Police Department, where he eventually developed and implemented a field training program for new detectives, which is still in place today. In addition to being a detective, he was also a member of the United States Marshal Service Fugitive Task Force, which he remained a member of until his retirement in 2023. In 2004, a man named Jesse Hicks left his home to meet up with his wife's cousin to collect a debt owed to him, and never came home. For nearly 10 years, Mr. Hicks was missing, and the case remained unsolved. In 2014, skeletal remains in some of Hicks's personal belongings were discovered at an Albemarle hunt club along a deer trail. This began a multi-year investigation that Detective Giles spearheaded and included intense undercover surveillance, where Giles was able to use an informant to obtain a confession from the murder suspect, a man named Kevin Moore. Detective Giles' superb investigative work on this case that lasted from 2014 to 2018 allowed for the presentation of strong evidence before a multi-jurisdiction grand jury. In 2018, indictments were returned for murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and the use of a firearm in the commission of a murder. Without the solid investigative work performed by Detective Giles and the meticulous prosecutorial commitment displayed by Richard Farley, justice would not have been possible. The trial lasted 8 days. They both displayed patience, resolve, and creativity building throughout the life of the investigation and prosecution, resulting in Kevin Moore being found guilty on all 3 counts. It is important to highlight that despite the trial taking 8 days, the jury came back with a guilty verdict in less than 2 hours. That can only be attributed to the thorough presentation of facts and evidence before the court. Thanks to the dedication of Richard Farley and Detective Giles, the surviving family of Mr. Hicks was finally able to receive closure and see justice served for their loved one. Congratulations, Richard Farley and Detective Giles. Our next Unsung Hero Award goes to Giles, Counsel at International Law Firm Arnold and Porter, nominated by Kaisha Boyd, Senior Victim Advocate at the Office of the Attorney General. In 2012, Mr. Giles spearheaded the development of Arnold and Porter's pro bono representation of crime victims in criminal proceedings. This pro bono representation serves survivors of sexual assault and domestic violence, with an emphasis on representing military-connected sexual assault survivors. Mr. Giles has vigorously represented many victims of sexual assault through the military court's martial process, always ensuring the rights to information, protection, and the pursuit of justice are upheld. Not only does he assist clients here in Virginia, but he also travels nationwide as a pro bono counsel on these cases. There are very few civilian attorneys who specialize in victims' rights law, especially within the military, and Mr. Giles is one of them. As a civilian victims legal counsel working military cases, he advocates on behalf of survivors who are experiencing the overwhelming process of navigating the military justice system. Mr. Giles will tell you that back in 2012, when he took on his very first military-connected case, he knew absolutely nothing about military law. But he didn't let that stop him. He dove in head first and began educating himself so he could fiercely advocate for and represent his clients. Today, Mr. Giles uses his knowledge and expertise to train other civilian attorneys who have the calling to provide pro bono support to victims of crime. His pro bono legal work is in addition to the daily caseload he oversees at Arnold and Porter, resulting in him going above and beyond the duties and responsibilities expected of him as an attorney. Not only does he provide legal support to crime victims, but he is also instrumental in providing legal counsel to protect our defenders and Survivors United, 2 nonprofits that focus on providing support and services to victims of military sexual assault. Mr. Giles has provided testimony to the Defense Advisory Committee on Investigation, Prosecution, and Defense of Military Sexual Assault on behalf of victims' rights issues. Several of those issues he has brought to the committee's attention have resulted in positive enhancements within the military justice process surrounding crime victims' rights. Congratulations, Giles. Next, we have V-Stop investigator Neil Jessup, Patrick County Sheriff's Office, nominated by Tanya Haynes, Patrick County Victim Witness Director. Investigator Jessup has worked with the Patrick County Sheriff's Office since 2014, quickly advancing to investigations in 2015, and becoming the V-Stop investigator in 2018. As a V-Stop investigator, she is dedicated to cases involving domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, and stalking. She is known among her colleagues and her community as a humble servant who is always fighting to protect the victims she serves, while meticulously investigating these cases with the ultimate goal of justice being served. She's not afraid to ask hard questions, dig deep, or even ruffle a few feathers in order to seek justice. I love that. She respects the victims she works with and does not judge their choices or decisions, regardless of the impact those decisions may have on the case. She takes cases to the Commonwealth's attorney that most wouldn't dare, and she advocates relentlessly for the victim, pushing for their right to be seen and heard. Many of the victims she has worked with remain in contact with her long after the case has concluded. One example of her outstanding work is a case where the victim was badly injured by her partner and ended up being hospitalized. Investigator Jessup spent a considerable amount of time obtaining and executing multiple search warrants to recover evidence and obtain medical records. She visited the victim at the hospital multiple times and even transported the domestic violence advocate to the hospital to meet with the victim. Once discharged from the hospital, Investigator Jessup drove the victim to 4 forensic exams to document her injuries throughout the healing process. She obtained an emergency and preliminary protective order for the victim, and she collaborated with multiple agencies to ensure the victim was provided with wraparound services. Her passion, dedication, and persistence allowed her victims to escape the violence that once had a stronghold over their lives, so they can move forward and live life without fear of further abuse. Congratulations, Investigator Neil Jessup. Now we have Investigator Kristen, Digital Forensics, Loudoun County Sheriff's Office, nominated by Lieutenant Kevin Weir. With over 15 years of experience in digital forensics and cybersecurity, Investigator Kennard has dedicated her career to advancing digital investigations in law enforcement. Her ability to leverage technology in her investigations has set her apart as a leader in the field of digital forensics. Her passion for serving her community and upholding the law is truly inspiring, making her a role model for her colleagues and the next generation of law enforcement professionals. Over the last year alone, Investigator Kennard has processed and examined 262 devices related to criminal investigations. Of those, 139 were related to crimes against persons, ranging from property crimes to sexual assaults to homicides. She works diligently with victims, understanding they often feel exposed and vulnerable. The intrusion of examining their digital devices can compound those feelings. To address this, Investigator Kennard ensures that only the information directly relevant to the criminal case is accessed, and she thoroughly protects their data. She takes time to reassure victims that their privacy is of top priority and that all efforts are made to safeguard any sensitive information unrelated to the investigation. Her commitment to protecting their privacy allows for them to focus on healing. In April of 2024, Investigator Kennard was a key figure in the success of an operation involving the Loudoun County Sheriff's Office and the Northern Virginia, Washington, D.C. Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. prosecution of 6 individuals engaging in illicit activities involving minors. Her experience was instrumental in extracting and analyzing critical chat conversations, which form the foundation of the investigation. Through her diligent and meticulous work, she not only identified and verified the involvement of the suspects, but she also uncovered additional child sexual abuse material in the possession of one of the individuals. Investigator Kenner has been involved in 4 homicide investigations where she examined 950 hours of surveillance video. Her dedication and thoroughness in these investigations assisted in the identification and arrest of suspects for each case, providing the families of the victims justice. Congratulations, Investigator Kristen. Our next awardee is Patricia Nicholson-King, a federally certified interpreter and an assistant professor at VCU, nominated by Elvira de la Cruz Macedo, CEO of Latinos in Virginia Empowerment Center. Ms. King embodies the essence of an unsung hero through her unwavering commitment to language access as a tool for justice and empowerment. With over 45 years of experience as a Spanish-English interpreter and translator, she has transformed the landscape of victim advocacy. One of her most remarkable contributions is her instrumental role in creating Virginia's first statewide Spanish-English Interpreters Bank at Latinos in Virginia, volunteering countless hours to ensure victims have access to trained interpreters who uphold accuracy and confidentiality while empowering them to communicate autonomously and advocate for themselves. Ms. King has interpreted for countless victims of domestic violence and sexual abuse cases in the Richmond Circuit and juvenile courts. She is called upon by prosecutors, judges, and defense attorneys in serious felony cases to provide interpretation support. She founded and directed the Spanish-English Translation and Interpretation Program at VCU and teaches students trauma-informed interpreting so they know how to effectively engage with victims without causing further harm. She volunteers at Free Kind to provide lessons for middle and high school students on the prevention of human trafficking. Her expertise and compassion have elevated the quality of victim services statewide, making her a critical advocate for survivors of crime. Congratulations, Patricia Nicholson-King. Our next unsung hero is Paige Mead, sexual assault victim advocate, statewide volunteer, nominated by Amber Lee, Director of Victim Services at the Department of Corrections. Ms. Mead is the embodiment of an unsung hero, someone who has turned her personal trauma into a lifelong mission of service, advocacy, and healing for sexual assault survivors. In 1992, she experienced a life-altering assault that left her silently grappling with PTSD for years. However, when faced with the opportunity for healing, she chose to transform her pain into power, dedicating her life to supporting victims and improving systems that serve survivors of violence. Since 2017, she has been actively involved with the Department of Corrections, where she contributes to the Victim Impact Program. She travels Commonwealth-wide to educate offenders about the profound impact the crime they committed has on the victim. In doing so, focusing her message on personal accountability, the impact of crime on victims, the ripple effect of crime, and victims' rights. Throughout her time as a volunteer, she has developed groundbreaking trauma-informed curricula for sexual assault survivors, and she has pioneered programs at local adult detention centers, empowering incarcerated women with tools for healing and accountability. She has dedicated her time to training law enforcement, community agencies, and schools on recognizing and addressing sexual violence, ensuring systemic improvements that will benefit survivors for years to come. Her work has been widely recognized locally and regionally. She was named the 2018 Sexual Assault Services Volunteer of the Year and the 2019 Prince William County Acts Volunteer of the Year. And she received the Prince William Living Influential Women Award in 2020. Her work with the Department of Corrections continues to impact incarcerated individuals across the state. Ms. Mead's story is one of resilience, compassion, and tireless advocacy. She has drawn on her own experiences to offer survivors strength, hope, and a path forward. Congratulations, Agent. Our next award goes to Joseph Donald Perry, Deputy Commonwealth Attorney, Stanton City Commonwealth Attorney's Office, nominated by Assistant Commonwealth Attorney Matt Hall. Mr. Perry has been working as a prosecutor for the Commonwealth since 2005 and has been serving in his current role since 2020. Over the last 7 years, much of his time has been focused on prosecuting child abuse cases. Due to the difficulties and challenges faced when prosecuting these cases, Mr. Perry is frequently seen working late into the night and even on weekends. His passion for victims extends well beyond working hours, making himself readily available to his colleagues and to the victims and their families. Not only does he stay mission-focused on his caseload, but he also volunteers to take on cases for other attorneys when they need assistance. Mr. Perry prosecutes virtually all of the sexual assault and child victim cases, from child neglect to murder. He never shies away from a trial and puts victims' needs at the core of every case he handles. The cases he absorbs require him to face uphill battles every day. And never does he let that stop him or discourage him from pushing forward. Handling these sensitive cases is one of the most difficult tasks, both professionally and emotionally. And those are burdens he shoulders without complaint. Everyone who prosecutes for long enough knows how tough these cases are and the toll they take on everyone involved. But as soon as he ends one, he dusts himself off and moves on to the next one immediately. Mr. Perry continues to fiercely advocate for every single victim as if they are his one and only. He never lets himself become numb to the pain and devastation each victim has experienced. He treats them with respect and meets them where they are without judgment and with compassion. His caseload is extremely high, and it is not uncommon for him to be seen sprinting from a trial to a forensic interview, only to run back to the trenches for more. What's remarkable about Mr. Perry is that he specializes in cases that many attorneys seek to avoid, and he does it with a servant's heart. Congratulations, Joseph Donald Perry. Now we have Mary Rogers, victim witness caseworker, Virginia Beach Commonwealth Attorney's Office, nominated by Colin Stoley, Virginia Beach Commonwealth's attorney. Ms. Rogers has dedicated the last 28 years of her life working in the public service field, 17 of which has been as the Virginia Beach victim caseworker. Since joining the Virginia Beach Victim Witness Unit in 2007, she has handled hundreds of some of the most serious and difficult cases imaginable. Currently, she carries a caseload of over 100 cases, many being violent felonies such as rape, sexual assault, robbery, and malicious assaults. She is also the caseworker on multiple current murder cases. Over the last year, she has had the privilege of working with their service dog, Zoe, who supports victims and witnesses during interviews and visits with them before court hearings to help keep them calm and grounded. Ms. Rogers' concern for victims and witnesses is evident in the caring and thoughtful ways in which she carries out her duties. An example of her efforts in action is when she worked on a 30-year-old case with a rape survivor. She routinely met with the victim and prosecutor after hours and on weekends, so the victim's needs and concerns were addressed. The prosecutor who worked the case noted that without Ms. Rogers' assistance, it was very unlikely that he would have been able to secure a conviction and obtain justice for the victim. She also assisted on a lengthy murder trial, escorting over a dozen of the victim's family members to court every day. The defendant's family and friends were present in the courtroom and were very hostile towards the victim's family. Ms. Rogers ensured the family was protected and respected throughout what was a very difficult trial. This pattern of caring has been evident throughout her career. Following the 2019 mass shooting in Virginia Beach, she responded to the municipal center to assist the families who were awaiting word on the status of their loved one. Ms. Rogers is a true unsung hero who never seeks accolades or attention for the tremendous work she does for victims and witnesses in Virginia Beach, but she is truly deserving of such recognition. Congratulations, Mary Rogers. Our next unsung hero is Major Regional Victims Legal Counsel, United States Marine Corps, stationed at Quantico Marine Corps Base, nominated by Lieutenant Colonel Stacy Allen, Chief Victims Legal Counsel, United States Marine Corps Victims Legal Counsel Organization. Major Zerberoli began her career in the Marine Corps in 2009, where she started her work as a legal assistance attorney and then became a prosecutor. She eventually transitioned into becoming a Victims Legal Counsel, also called DLC, where she would become a placeholder of the Marine Corps Victim Legal Counsel Organization, which was established by the Commandant that same year. As a DLC, she is responsible for the representation of all eligible Marine Corps crime victims. While her office is primarily focused on crime victims in Virginia, the scope and breadth of her Marine's responsibility spans the globe and across all levels of the Marine Corps, including Marine Corps Installations Command National Capital Region, Marine Corps Base Quantico, Marine Corps Training Command, Marine Corps Forces Reserves, Marine Corps Forces Africa, and Marine Corps Forces Europe. Major Zerberoli undertakes representation of more clients than nearly any other Victims Legal Counsel and is the most sought after and experienced DLC in the United States Marine Corps. From 2015 to 2022, she served as a legal advisor to multiple generals and eventually deployed to Iraq as part of the Combined Joint Forces Land Component Command in support of Operation Inherent Resolve. In 2022, she returned to the Victims Legal Counsel, where she remains as the current and most tenured regional PLC. To date, she has represented over 176 victims, more than any other PLC since the establishment of the organization. Throughout the last year, she has fought for victims in several high-profile general courts-martial, including child victims of sexual abuse, victims of intimate image distribution, a minor poolee who was the victim of sexual assault by her enlisted gunnery sergeant recruiter, adult victims of sexual assault, and victims of domestic violence. Through all her services as a PLC, she has displayed tenacity and dedication to her clients, resulting in victim after victim recounting how Major Cercaroli cared for them and their families, helping them through a tremendously difficult time in their lives. For her efforts, she is unquestionably deserving of this award. Congratulations, Major Adrian. Next, we will be awarding Susan Sigmund, Justice Services Director at the Powerhouse. Nominated by Deputy Chief Randall Connolly, Oquia Harbor Police Department, and Sergeant Christelle DeGravio, Spotsylvania County Sheriff's Office. Since 1989, Ms. Sigmund has been actively serving both child and adult victims of crime. For years, she has been a beacon of hope and support for countless individuals who have experienced the devastating impacts of domestic violence. Often working behind the scenes, she dedicates her life to ensuring survivors receive the resources, care, and understanding they desperately need. She works tirelessly with her law enforcement counterpart to provide training that ensures victims of domestic violence are getting the best service available from the onset. Whether providing crucial emotional support, advocating for systemic change, or working with community organizations to create safer environments, Ms. Sigmund has demonstrated an unwavering commitment to the victims she serves. Her efforts have often gone unnoticed by the wider public, yet they have made an extraordinary difference in the lives of survivors, ensuring they have legal assistance, safe housing, and mental health support necessary to rebuild their lives post-domestic violence. She has a unique way of making survivors feel heard and understood, empowering them to make informed decisions about their future. Through one-on-one counseling, advocacy for policy changes, and facilitating domestic violence awareness campaigns, Ms. Sigmund has shown an incredible capacity for both quiet action and bold leadership. Her commitment to addressing domestic violence is rooted in her belief that everyone deserves to live a life free from fear and abuse. She is a vital resource to her community members and first responders and is always ready to help without seeking recognition. In a field where the work is often difficult, emotionally taxing, and underfunded, Ms. Sigmund continues to demonstrate resilience, compassion, and professionalism. Her commitment to the safety, dignity, and empowerment of survivors makes her truly deserving of this recognition. Congratulations, Susan Sigmund. Our next award goes to Captain Terrence Lee Sullivan, Jr., Hanover County Sheriff's Office, nominated by Major Judson Flagg. Captain Sullivan has served almost 30 years as a law enforcement officer, beginning his career while serving in the United States Air Force during the First Gulf War as a military military police officer. Throughout his career, he has demonstrated exemplary service and an unwavering commitment to providing comprehensive support to victims and community members in crisis, as well as serving as the division commander of the Hanover County Sheriff's Office Intelligence and Information Services. Observing the increased need for victim support in the community, he implemented several groundbreaking programs. He developed the Chaplains Program, where more than 30 chaplains provide support to victims who are dealing with stress and grief during difficult and often tragic times. He devotes his time to fellow law enforcement throughout Virginia as well, who experience stress and trauma at high rates in their daily duties by holding events such as law enforcement prayer breakfasts, so our first responders feel supported and cared for. Captain Sullivan has organized programs for at-risk youth, such as Fly with a Cop and Shop with a Cop, as well as the Youth Engagement Team. His efforts to get ahead of crime by reaching the hearts and minds of vulnerable youth in order to prevent crime is remarkable. His partnership with the YWCA has led to career and resource fairs that inform families of the services and supports available to them in their community. His tireless efforts and innovative approaches to victim services, crime prevention, and community partnerships represent a significant contribution to the field of law enforcement and public safety. Congratulations, Captain Terrence Sullivan. Next, we have Sergeant Brian Williams, Norfolk Police Department, nominated by Michelle Morrison, Office of the Attorney General Sexual Assault Kit Initiative, also called SAKI, Project Manager. Sergeant Williams began his career serving in the United States Marine Corps for 4 years, and then joined the Norfolk Police Department in 2006. Throughout the majority of his career, he has been with the Detective Division, where he currently serves as the Special Crimes Sergeant. He is a tenacious investigator and a compassionate advocate who sets an unparalleled standard in law enforcement, blending expertise with a trauma-informed, victim-centered approach that transforms lives. He secured Virginia's first conviction under the Office of the Attorney General SAKI program for a rape that had been unsolved for many years. His compelling courtroom testimony was instrumental in achieving justice, and his steadfast support for the victim and her family exemplified the highest standards of victim advocacy, ultimately aiding in their healing journey. The Commonwealth's attorney who handled the case stated that justice would not have been possible without Sergeant Williams' expertise and dedication. What sets him apart is his holistic, trauma-informed approach to victim support. He ensures victims feel heard, believed, and supported, regardless of whether they choose to engage in the criminal justice process. His compassion goes beyond resolving cases. It facilitates healing. By solving cold cases that have long been sources of pain for survivors and their families, he has brought closure and a sense of justice to those who feared it may never come. His work is not just about solving crimes, it's about restoring dignity and hope to the victims he serves. His professionalism has resulted in him becoming a role model for his peers and an invaluable ally to crime victims. Congratulations, Sergeant Brian Williams. Our final award Jason Miyares, Director of Smith County Victim Witness, nominated by Smith County Commonwealth's Attorney Philip Bucky Blevins. Ms. Williams has served under the Victim Witness Program for nearly 28 years, where she has helped countless victims of crime during what may have been the most traumatic events in their lives. She exemplifies excellence and advocacy and support for all crime victims. Her nearly 3 decades of dedicated service have not only transformed the Victim Witness Program, but also profoundly impacted the lives of victims seeking justice and healing. Her role as the bridge between the prosecutors and the victims is the foundation of her success. She ensures that victims are not just informed, but are also empowered throughout the judicial process. From explaining complex legal procedures to standing by victims in the courtroom, her unwavering commitment to victims allows them to feel supported and understood. In 2024, Ms. Williams' stamina was tested as she walked hand in hand with the families of 2 separate murder victims. She served as their steadfast ally in the face of unimaginable pain. She stood by those families, not only offering emotional support, but also helping amplify their voices at sentencing. Ms. Williams stood strong in the face of tragedy as one of Smith County's own sheriff's deputies was murdered. She went to the crime scene with the Commonwealth's attorney and immediately began caring for the fallen deputy's family and coworkers. Amid such tragic loss, she was able to compartmentalize her own heartache for the loss of one of their very own, so she could care for and support the family and her colleagues. That takes incredible discipline and courage. Congratulations, Susan Williams. You are, in every sense of the word, unsung heroes, and we are blessed to have you serving this great Commonwealth. Thank you for dedicating your lives to serving all of us. Before I turn it over to the Attorney General for closing remarks, I want to extend my deepest appreciation to Attorney General Miyares for his awe-inspiring dedication to victims of crime across the Commonwealth. I have had the honor over the past several years of either standing by his side or observing him as he advocates for crime victims, whether it's at roundtables, town halls, through comments in public platforms, through the zealous prosecutions handled by this office, or by pushing year after year for legislation that seeks to protect victims and hold violent criminals accountable. He is a man who never shies away from taking the harder right over the easier wrong, and leads by example. Attorney General Giles will be the first to tell you that the mentality displayed by others, where victims come last and criminals come first, is not to be tolerated or accepted. Instead, he strives to ensure victims' voices matter and are heard throughout the criminal justice process while holding offenders accountable, placing the safety of the people living in Commonwealth of Virginia at the forefront. This administration has come so far over the last nearly 4 years in its work on behalf of crime victims and making the safety of the Commonwealth a top priority. I am hopeful that we will see another 4 years under the leadership of Attorney General Miyares, so we can continue with the same trajectory of commitment to public safety while respecting the dignity of those who are impacted by crime. Thank you, Attorney General Miyares.
Commonwealth's attorney as far as saving not victims. We had an invitation for our off-the-record roundtable. We had so many victims that responded that we ran out of space in this building. We had actually a library of Virginia across the street. And I will tell you, when you sit in those meetings and just ask those victims a question, it's simple. Just tell me your story. Those are all. Everybody here is knowing your evidence. That is a problem. It's an emotional one. Most, I would argue, would be people ask me, my job is stressful. It's not. I'm sure everyone would. But are there hard days? Those are hard days. Thank you, Adrian, for my team. Many of you all have sat with me through there. So I want to thank the extraordinary member that I get to work with, those in the criminal justice and public safety division. I want to thank Robert Tracy, the extraordinary work he does in the major crimes, the attorneys there, Medicaid Fraud Control Unit, my Deputy Attorney General, Peter Stamps, and the member of Counsel, Attorney Arnold, and the Criminal Division. They do incredible work every day. Our victim notification program is the appeal process can be confusing, re-traumatizing, at times overwhelming. They do such